All right, Unsecurity Podcast listeners, welcome. This is episode 179 of the Unsecurity Podcast. The date is, I don't even know, June 15th. And we're a day late in getting this episode out because I think we're all just really, really busy, which is a nice segue into the talent shortage issue. So that's where we're going to pick up. When we left off in episode 177, we were talking about this talent shortage issue. 178, we invited Eric to come talk to us, and we shared kind of some, I think, just transparent feelings and thoughts and what have you about mental health, right? Everybody's got those issues. But anyway, joining me again is Oscar Minks, my good buddy. How you doing, Oscar?
Hey, doing good this morning, Evan. How are you doing?
I think pretty good, squirreling like normal. I mean, you guys just dealt with that for the last 40 minutes before we got the podcast going.
We're all also joining us a bit. That's okay.
Yeah, some of us. Yeah, I'm like the lead squirrel. I'm good at that.
Squirrel King.
Yep. and that other voice you hear is, I'm super excited. She's been invited before to come to the podcast, but declined. I don't think we were cool enough at the time, but now we've been showering and taking better care of our health, and she decided to join us. So Megan Larkins is here. Hi, Megan. How you doing?
Good morning, Evan.
I'm super happy that Megan's here. She's we wanted to do so we picked two people from our own team as good examples of when you hire for the intangibles, great things happen. Right? We've always said we can teach you security stuff. Most of it's not rocket science, except for quantum, because nobody knows what that is anyway, or how it works. We know what it is. We just don't know how the hell to do stuff with it. But Megan, we're going to get her story. I want to share it. I think you'll find it inspirational for people that are trying to break into this industry. We do need more Megans. So if you are a Megan or know somebody who is a Megan, please send them our way.
And we're specifically talking about people named Megan, is that right?
Named
named Megan, yeah.
You can name her whatever you want, because I've had the privilege, and it's been so cool. I mean, over the years to see people come here, you guys are the culture, you guys, grow, and it's so awesome. So, and now Megan reports to you, right, Oscar?
Yeah.
So you've gotten a chance over the last, 6 months or so to get to know her pretty well?
Yeah, I think almost a year, realistically, right, Megan? We kind of started working together the second half of last year, and then we reorged the beginning of this year, and then that's when we really got to kind of step on the gas and work together a whole lot more. We're both busy. I don't think we get the time together that we would like to get together because there's a zillion things going on all the time. But it's been fantastic, and just getting to know Megan. I always knew that Megan was a rock star from the outside looking in, and now it's been fantastic to get to build our relationship and work together and strategize for how we continue our mission. And just lucky to have her as part of our FRSecure team, that's for sure.
I believe you used the word zillion. Is that like quantum, sort of?
I think it's more definitive than quantum.
Oh, all right. I'm gonna have to get on Google some more.
The number my kids are throwing around right now is Googleplex. So.
Oh, geez. I think that actually is a thing, right? Isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it is.
How many zeros? That's how much money Elon Musk has now. He's now a Googa-illionaire.
Googleplexinaire.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. With that crypto crash and then the impending Tesla crash and the bear market, is that going to sustain? Sorry, we're not doing a stock show. I'll shut up. Yeah.
No, he'll be fine, man. He's got with Starlink and the Boring Company. He's in a pretty good spot, and he's the one thing about him that, like him or hate him, he's a very mission-driven individual, and so watching him and learning some of the things that he does, like everybody, right? Everybody's got good things and bad things. Take the good things and try to discard the bad. All right, so Megan, how long have you been here now?
going on 5 years in August, I believe it'll be.
Oh my gosh,
So
time flies. Doesn't seem that long at all.
it does. I know. My company before that, I was there for just 6 years, and so to say that and be like, "Oh yeah, I've almost been here as long as I was there," that's really cool.
That is cool. Well, I hope you get to stay here for another 50 years because you are awesome. You got such a great attitude. I know the times that we've um, worked together on things and collaborated. It's always a treat for me. And you're kind of the eyes and ears, a lot for me too, where you you're more current. You see what's going on, and so you carry a lot of weight, not physically, mentally around here.
Sounds good.
Oscar and I carry the physical weight, don't we?
Yeah, we're the muscle of the organization.
No, I wasn't talking muscle.
Oh, damn it.
I was talking weight. Yeah, I was talking about that large 3-digit number on that thing that you step on in the bathroom.
I don't use those.
I don't. Yeah, I gave up on that too. So how did you come about here? I mean, how did you first learn about us, hear about us, and all that good stuff?
Yeah. Just trying to figure out how far to go back, I guess. Because, yeah, when I found FRSecure, I was working as the sole IT person at kind of a 50-person insurance broker type shop. And just doing IT stuff and kind of learning on the job while I was there. At some point in my time there, I mean, I was completely self-taught. So, and primarily on that job, like prior to working at that place, I dabbled in HTML code and kind of knew computer systems better than other people that were doing work like I did. So I was kind of the go-to person, like, Megan, how do you do this? It's like, oh, I figured it out. This is how you do it. I had seen a server like a couple times. And then when I went there, they needed somebody that was a mix of IT and graphics was where I was coming from. So I'm like, yeah, I know a little bit about everything. Why not? And kind of took over for, they only had outsourced IT at that point, but they knew they needed someone to kind of centralize it, bring it inside. So I did that. And then I learned IT as I did so. So I was able to kind of gradually level up and take things off the shoulders of the other team. So when I came, or when I started looking, like I wanted to expand my horizons, legitimize what I had learned on the job. So I had gotten my Network Plus, and then I wanted to pursue security because I'd kind of started to just dabble in like some malware cleaning and activities like that. And so I was looking for CISSP, and Brad reached out to the Spiceworks community and was like, hey, we got this free CISSP mentorship program. And I was like, what? Really? And you guys are next door in Minnetonka? Awesome. So I signed up, and yeah, it was just thrilling to be there. Like, I've got my small kids, so I made it into the office once a week, I think usually on Tuesdays or something like that, and then attended virtually the rest of the time. But it was awesome just kind of cramming through that. And then as I was there, I kind of got the feeling, I'm like, I actually know a little bit. This is cool. I could do this. I'd kind of thought about consulting type stuff in the past. We'd had like, I don't know, some salespeople or auditors come through, and I was like, I kind of like what they do. Um, so yeah, Evan, there was one day I brought my resume with me to like see if I had the chops, I guess, enough experience to get the CISSP, and I showed it to you, and you were like, yeah, this is great. And I'm like, sweet, then I'm going to apply for a job.
That's so cool.
So that's pretty much what I did. And yeah, I tried to speak up in class so that you guys heard me a little bit, and then just kind of history from there, I guess.
Well, you mentioned one of the things, as you're one of the things you said, it was, you kind of became that go-to person.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be a compliment, because I think you're the go-to person because you're so approachable. It's more that, I think, than solving all my problems.
Yeah.
That's so cool, because I struggle with that, to be honest, a lot. One of my direct reports, like I say, which one? I guess I only have two. Crap. Told me that when I was down in Mexico, we were down there, and he told me something that I should have already known. And I was like, why didn't they come tell me this? He said, well, I think sometimes people are afraid to tell you. I'm like, oh, crap, that's okay. Really? So then I went and talked to that person. I'm like, are you afraid to tell me stuff? And he's like, no. And I'm like, I think you're lying, but okay. But it's really sunk in because being approachable, especially as security people, I think is undersold. I think we feel like sometimes we have to be the authority. We have to know all our crap all the time. And that's why people come to us. I don't think so. I think people come to us because when we're genuine, when we're kind, when we're respectful. And every single time I've talked to you, every time I've seen you, I felt that same thing. I felt comfortable with you. I felt like I could tell you stuff and not have it used against me. So that's awesome. That's such a cool gift. So you started here 5 years ago, the CISP mentor program. So thank God for that.
Yep.
Because, without that, maybe we wouldn't be here. And what a crappy missed opportunity that would be.
I do have to say that raising your hand in class, and I wasn't here at that time, right? But Brad and I were actually talking about you over the weekend. We spent some time together in DC or end of last week and early weekend. And he was talking about you being in the CISSP class, raise your hand, always speaking up. And then he told the story of when you brought your resume and wanted to apply for a job. He was like, oh, we're hiring her right away. We're hiring her. Like, we'll go through the motions of the interview and all that stuff, but we're definitely hiring her. So just so you know, all that was great strategy. Definitely worked. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And,
awesome.
and how, if you could be all the awesomeness that you are, but if you didn't step up, if you didn't raise your hand, if you didn't make yourself known, we would have never seen you.
Right.
Potentially. There's just so many things going on. We're always so busy. The society we live in today is so transactional, which is sad because we're built to be relational. We're built to have relationships with people, not transactions. And I think, we get so fast. So I think advice for people that are listening, if you are hiring, if you're looking for a Megan, and you can't have this one, I'm just saying that, we'll figure out some way to protect her or protect us or something. But if you're looking for something, be relational, be on the lookout, look for it, encourage people to raise their hands, step out, make themselves known, because she makes such a big difference. So you started here. What was your first position at FRSecure? So you got your foot in the door, and
it was as it was security analyst is what we called it. I think we only had 2 levels at the time, associate or analyst, and I had enough experience to not be an associate, so put me to work pretty quick. Honestly, I was very much mentored on the job, which was awesome because I had my IT background, so I kind of knew the architecture, I guess, that all of the controls laid on top of, so I could talk to other IT folks. But my experience is still pretty limited. Like, really, that one shop environment that's a relatively small size, Active Directory, some virtual VMware servers and managing that, and some backups and stuff like that, and end user systems, help desk. So I could relate to a lot of companies, but not some of the larger ones. And so then it's just mentorship from there. Like Brad and Lori were really key in that, and everyone on the team. But, they really stick out in my mind in particular because there were definitely some where I was just like, well, I read about this, but how do I actually do this? And then I could talk to them and they would, explain it. And really it's very, like I said, high level concepts that can just be applied to these situations. And so I think it's just a matter of creative thinking, I think, from there to think, okay, how does this high level concept apply to this situation, and kind of getting familiar with what can bend and what can't, and how to kind of make things work to the situation.
That's
I
awesome.
might have gone off on a track there.
Hey, you're talking to Chief Squirrel here, so we can go wherever you want with this stuff. So okay, so you started 5 years ago, analyst, being sort of mentored,
Mhm.
probably outside of your comfort zone, I'm assuming,
Oh yeah.
relatively often.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, just different industries, larger companies, doing some traveling, because definitely started off with doing those risk assessments, which like I talked to our especially greener new hires, and it's just such an awesome learning opportunity because you get that exposure to so many different environments and leadership styles and people and
Yeah,
how they're managing the challenge of information security and IT, that you learn a lot really fast. And so I think that was one of the benefits too of coming on and focusing on assessments. And then we gradually built up the VCSO program from there, where similarly, like the first VC so I did, I think I was taking over a law firm from Brad, who took it over from you, I think, Evan.
hmm
And so they kind of had that program running pretty effectively already. They just like to have somebody continue to show up from FRSecure that had that everyday security knowledge and mindset to continue to kind of point them in the right direction and um, guide them through some of the decisions that they were making.
that's so cool. And that law firm, another awesome person who is on the team came from that
Yep.
law firm.
Yep.
So, and we don't, just for our customers who are listening, we don't make it a practice to hire your people. I think I think she might have already separated from that organization
Yeah.
before we hired her. So, just want to set people's mind at ease. But she's awesome. You hire people, honestly, man. It's never ever nipped me in the butt. I don't know. It's never been a bad choice to hire somebody for the intangibles.
hmm
Never. You hire good people, and man, it makes your life amazing. So you grew then from there, because where are you at today? So fast forward 5 years of doing a whole bunch of VCSO work, a whole bunch of creative, creating new solutions, making new solutions. Because I've seen you do so many really cool things. What do you do today?
Now I'm the manager of the consulting team. Yeah, I still think I remember John's face during my interview when I was like, yeah, and I kind of want to be a manager someday. He's like, oh, really? Awesome. Because you
Yeah,
guys were looking to grow. And so I was like, sweet, that was nice for me because I was looking for that opportunity to grow. Um, I think it's funny, like, I when I was young, I definitely would not have seen myself or wanted to be a manager. But then, kind of as I just grew and just, I don't know, became a human over time, like the way that I interact with people and like to solve problems, if I can't sit by and just let problems ruminate and just be like, oh, well, that's somebody else's problem. Eventually, I'm like, I've got to step up and help this get better. I want it to be better for me because I'm frustrated, but I want it to be better for everybody else. And so I think ultimately that's what led me from being a good analyst to then stepping into the team lead role to be like, these are these things that need more attention on our team. We want to keep supporting our team. This team is amazing. How can we keep making things better and doing our job better? And so then just gradually developing that and then progressing from there into the management role, which, yeah, has been a whirlwind.
it's been cool too, because I know that as you're talking, I'm like remembering certain instances and times when you would come to me with something, and you're right when you said that you're not a person that will just let problems sit there,
Yeah.
because you would come to me with like things that you would see as problems in. I mean, you question people's pride, to be honest. I mean, there were times when you'd come to me and you're like, "What's with this?" And I'd be like, "Who are you?" Oh man, on one side, I'm like, "You got like 5 years experience, so get off my back." But then on the other side, you're like, "Holy crap, she's 100% right." Wow, okay. Uh, so that's been really, really cool to see you progress. Now, one of the things we talked about last week with myself, Oscar, I'm doing all the talking, Oscar, sorry.
That's
But
fine, man. You keep rolling.
But we talked about last week with me, Oscar, and Eric was imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
and we all struggle with it. We all have issues. We, some days are better than worse. Some instances, some situations are better than worse. I think people that progress fast in this industry might be more prone to imposter syndrome because you're working with people. The person that you're sitting across the table from might have 20, 30 years of experience, and
Yeah.
you've got 5 or
Yeah.
6 or whatever. Have you encountered imposter syndrome along the way?
Oh, for sure. I mean, just whether it's doing assessments, working with my customers, like they specialize and they work in that environment and deploy this technology on a regular basis. And especially in my role, it's like I worked for one small IT company and I did that stuff, but now that's 5 years ago for one thing. Also, it was just one small company, not all of these larger environments, more complicated systems, more complicated scenarios. Um, and on my team too, it's like people still come to me for security advice and I'm like, someday that's going to stop because I'm doing more and more management stuff and I'm listening a lot. I guess from my perspective, like one thing I want to do more of is get opportunities to sit in with various team members and hear what they're talking about. I think that's mostly like I'm a sponge, so I hear things and then I can regurgitate it back to people pretty well for
Mhm.
the time being anyway. um, but yeah, it's kind of like you're asking me these questions and you're, a 500-person organization with multiple facilities and complex systems that I've never dealt with. But at the same time, I have that outside perspective and security focus to kind of give them the bigger picture. And that's mostly what they need. And I don't necessarily myself haven't even tried out these solutions, but I've also worked with enough other organizations to be like, well, here's how I saw somebody else doing it. It's not really me that's coming up with this solution. I've observed this in another situation, maybe somewhat similar to you, that I can share. And so I think that's where in our role, even when we haven't done it necessarily, we've had the exposure and it's really sharing stories and kind of teaching in that way, rather than necessarily personal experience, though the personal experience definitely helps
Mhm.
the members of our team that have a little bit more of that, they can go deeper into the weeds in some of those situations.
That's cool. You have such a bright future. I mean, there's so many cool things ahead for you uh, because you have that kind of attitude. You know what I mean? You're a problem solver. You're approachable. Um, you give credit where credit's due, right? I mean, and you're transparent. It's not, so I've seen you operate in this way too, where you'll make a recommendation and you'll be honest and say, I've never done it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it over here and I've seen it over here, just like you said. And people respect that. I think that's one way to combat, imposter syndrome is to be real,
Yeah.
to not try to be something that you're not. You're really good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Otherwise, you get stuck because otherwise you're claiming to know or have experience in something you don't. And then they question you on it. And now you have to be defensive and be like, oh, chasing your tail kind of.
it's understanding too that that is completely acceptable and the norm in a lot of cases. I've worked with a lot of CISOs in my career that haven't done any of the things. It's the same thing. It's knowledge through osmosis and
Mm-hmm.
observations that they make their decisions to how to reduce risk in the future. And so understanding when you get to that point where you're at, where it's like, I don't have to have executed all of these things myself. I don't have to have been through those experiences to be successful here. Then you gain that confidence and you're able to be that leader and that information security expert, right? They're looking for. I think that that's a great message for sure.
That's really cool. So, what advice do you have for people that are maybe looking at getting into this industry or they're struggling, finding their place in this industry? Do you have any advice to share? From your journey.
I think for me, it's just taking chances and challenging yourself. I mean, when even at my IT role, when I applied for that, it was definitely something I hadn't done for before. Like some of the things on the resume, like it was actually one of the things that got me to apply is I could kind of tell that they were looking for this very broad, like they almost didn't know what they were looking for. And I was like, well, I know a
That
little
never
bit. And I was
happens in
just
security.
never. And I was upfront with them. Like on my, I just kind of like, I prepared myself that morning. I was like, I'm either right for this job or I'm not. I'm going to walk in and I'm going to be honest. And I told them, I'm not a master of all of these things, but I know a bit about all of them. And that broad knowledge is kind of what it seemed like they were looking for. And so then I offered that, and I was just like, I have a broad knowledge and understanding of all these things, and I'm a quick learner, and I don't know, I work hard and I'm passionate about what I do. And I think they saw that. And probably similarly, I guess, when you guys hired me, it's like, I'm committed to learning and want to do that. I don't have that security knowledge yet. I'm interested in these topics. I know a little bit about it. I'm doing the mentorship program and pursuing my CISSP. But I think same thing, like present who you are, what you care about, and it's either the fit for them or it's not. But I know we continue to do the same thing on our team. Like we really want to see the passion, the interest, so that we know that you're going to continue to pursue that and learn in it, rather than being like, I know everything already, and then getting caught up and stuck in that trap later on.
Yeah, if anybody ever comes to me, I know everything already, it's that resume goes in the trash pile.
Yeah. And I know because I hear with
none of us do.
Yeah.
No,
I know just from other women's seminars and things that you hear a lot that women are less likely to take chances and kind of stretch out. Like, it says 5-year experience. I only have 3. Well, I need to wait another 2 years. Like, apply anyway. Like, actually, Shane, our right out of college hire, our associate on our team right now, I was kind of asking people for topics to speak on, and he wrote kind of a cool blurb on closing the gaps and just how entry-level positions always say 5 years experience needed. And it's like, well, you're never going to get someone entry level if they already have to have 5 years experience. Like, how do they close that gap of 5 years experience? So my first advice would just be like, start somewhere. It doesn't have to be exactly your field of interest. Just get in the door so you can start to get, your experience and in a related field, but also that recruiters, that they don't care if you meet exactly 5. They're just going for generally a lower level of experience. They probably want to see 1 to 2, and then through the interview we'll learn kind of what your potential is. And I'm sure different employers are different, but go for it, reach for it. The worst that can happen is they don't call you. So
yeah, I love that too, because that same, what you went through is the same way you're going to hire, I assume, right? Mm-hmm. Taking that same sort of compassionate, flexible, growth type approach. And Oscar, I know you do the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like we've talked about a lot. I think we did touch on that before. Like that list for our listeners out there, that's kind of like the wish list for a lot of, a position posting. But in reality, like we don't expect everyone to meet all that criteria. If they come along, cool, they're probably going to be a better fit, but that also doesn't mean that their personality is going to be a better fit. And so we've made decisions for hires a lot of time where, the less experienced candidate actually won that role, and it had a lot to do with culture fit. Why are you in this? Are you driven for the right reasons, right? Is your personality going to match? Do you believe in what you're doing? And are you motivated for the right reasons? And so those things mean so much more to us. It's the intangibles, like going back to that again. And so, I would tell folks that don't let those requirements be a barrier for any way. If you see a job that you want, apply for that. Let them know why you're a good fit for that job and go for it. I talk to people all the time about that, the same scenario that Shane's talking about. Well, I don't have enough experience. I don't have this cert. I don't have this. Like, who cares? If you can get in that door and you can get that interview and you can prove to them why you're a good fit, they're going to consider you for sure.
Well, and Megan mentioned another thing I think that's important. And I called it out in the book, and we've known about this for a long time, is not only a shortage of talent in our industry, but a shortage of different perspectives in our industry. We don't have enough, inner city folks, for instance. These different perspectives make really, really awesome solutions. So not getting into the whole race thing, gender thing, it's different perspectives that solve these challenges. And one of the things that Megan mentioned was, women. Obviously, she's a woman. Um, we need more. That's a great perspective. I remember here at FRSecure when we hired Renee Rudder, it was as a leader. We didn't have any female leaders here, and we would sit in these weekly management meetings, and it finally got to a point where I was like, I don't even want to come to these meetings anymore because it's the same crap. We just talk about the same thing over and over and over again. We got to shake this thing up. We need a different perspective. And so we purposely, and sometimes you need to do that as somebody who's hiring, identify what you're missing on your teams, what perspectives, rather than always looking at the skills like, well, can you hack this? Can you hack that? Do you have this certification or that certification? Why not look at it from what perspectives am I missing? What would round up my team? Everybody on my team is from suburban, environments where they had a whole bunch of money and opportunity and whatever. You know what? It'd be nice to have a different perspective. Maybe a female perspective, maybe somebody from the inner city, maybe somebody rural. That's really, really important because when I lived through it ourselves when we brought Renee in, and it was like, holy crap, everything changed. I didn't like everything, but I didn't need to like everything. That wasn't the point. You know what I mean? The point isn't me liking it. The point is what's best for the team, what's best for the mission, and awesome. One of the best things we ever did. And the same thing happened on the consulting side. Security in general, we don't have enough women. We'll just stay with that topic for lots of reasons. And I'm not a finger pointer. I don't care. Let's just fix it. So, one of the most admired people, I think security people here at FRSecure is Lori for me. Yeah. Holy crap, that lady knows her shit and she is good and she's awesome, great to talk to. So having her on your team, Megan, and hearing that she helped you mentor because you're that next wave, right? Mm-hmm. We need more women. One of the things, the first ever, so we talk about VCSOs, right? And, first pass, the certified VCSO, CVCSO, we're doing over at Security Studio. I'm not happy with it yet because I'm more of a perfectionist. I mean, weird, whatever. But our first ever CVCSO ever is a woman. And I want to call that out because there were 25 people in that class. There were only 3 women. She is the one, like you were saying, Megan, you gave the advice to take a chance, to just go for it. And how women aren't, based on studies, women generally aren't inclined to do that as much. Well, you did it. Thank God. I know that Lori did it because go back 30 years when she started in this industry, women, no, they weren't here. And then, Meg Perron is her name, the first ever CVCSO. Super proud of her. I'm trying to figure out a way to hire her because I'm like, you'd be good at this too. But anyway, that was my rant. Because if we didn't do this stuff, Megan wouldn't be here. And that would be such a freaking bad thing for our industry. It'd be so bad for our company, so bad for our mission. So, that's just advice for people that are out there hiring. If you don't have enough women on your team, it's okay to go out and look for women. If you don't have any, African Americans on your team, it's okay to go out and look for African Americans. Not because they're African American, but because they bring a different perspective that you're missing on your team. It's that simple.
I would
Preach it.
Second that. And then I do have a question for Megan. I completely agree. It's like there's 2 perspectives here that you can approach as a business. It's one, you surround yourself with like people, you live in an echo chamber and you think you're doing great things, but you're really not, right? Or 2, you introduce diversity and look for people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, from different gender backgrounds, from different nationality backgrounds, right? And you really introduce that diversity and you force innovation, you force growth because of all those different perspectives. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But continuing that too, I would like to ask Megan, with your growth into security, is there any advice that you have for other women specifically out there? Were there challenges that you observed and you had to overcome? And if so, what would your advice be to other women who want to get into the industry?
Trying to think. I mean, doing the consulting, I think, has been probably easier and less of a male dominated. I guess I was fortunate because I came on and Lori was there. So
Yeah.
I didn't have to deal with being the only woman in the room. I mean, I do with my clients. So that's kind of the bigger challenge that I do see. But I think FRSecure also does enough to present us as experts that I don't typically get questioned. Like, I do think there are certain subjects where maybe they're kind of like, well, let's ask somebody else about that, and maybe not flush out how much I know on the subject. But at the same time, I don't do a deep dive on everything. So I think the main thing is just to keep moving forward. Like, first of all, demonstrate the knowledge that you have. Don't let them just brush you off. Like, you can say, well, let's speak to that. Let's keep talking about it. Give me an opportunity. Just keep speaking to it. But then just don't give up. Just keep it up. You know, some groups might not see your potential. That's their loss. So just keep up at it. There's a lot of organizations, a lot of people that won't discriminate against you and will listen to what you actually know, not just, you know, what you look like or whatever. So
yeah, see, that's the thing. It's not about what you look like. It's not about your gender. It's not about your race. It's about your perspective.
mm-hmm.
For me, it's always been like if you get stale, you know, or you want somebody to shake things up, go get somebody who's not like you to come into the room and shake things up for you. You know, and I talked a little bit about that, you know, when you would come to me with these problems, I'm like, who the hell, what, you know, and it was like, no, she's right. And thank God for that, because we need that perspective. It makes things better for our customers, makes things better for our team, it makes things better for everybody. And you'll continue, like I said, your future, I think is, well, I know is super bright. You know, I look forward to the day when you get promoted again and again. You know, when those things happen, you know, when people elevate in the business, the people at the top have to, I mean, eventually there's no more spot, right? So then they go and retire. So that's kind of where I'm starting to go with Mexico. You know, get out of the way and let these people do their awesome work. And, you know, I'll see you on TV or something. I don't watch TV. I'll see you somewhere, because it's such a huge blessing. I mean, I could talk about it all day long. How proud I am of you, how proud I am of Oscar, how proud I am of everybody here. It's just it's an incredible blessing for me to be part of it. So thank you, Megan.
Yeah. Awesome. From my perspective, your door was open and you never seemed defensive when I was coming to you with questions, even if I was saying, why does this scoring work this way? It doesn't make sense. Or I think I usually presented it as, I'm just trying to understand. And you were honest too. You were like, you know what? We just threw something together. If you've got a better idea, go for it. So yeah, I appreciate that.
They were tight. Yeah. Well, they got the things going on in your head and the things that are coming out of your mouth. And it's like, sometimes there's that filter, you know, and you're like, yeah, I should shut up. You know, I do the same thing. You know, we do the same thing all the time. Like Ryan, you know, if you know Ryan Cloutier, he's one of those guys too, that there are times I just want to say something and I don't, you know, because he's a questioner too. He's always challenging stuff. All right. Well, anything else to add before we close out? We're going to close out with you know, our shout outs like we always do. Any last you know, words of wisdom, advice, things to share?
I was just going to mention that even Lori, with all of her experience, still feels that imposter syndrome. So I don't think it ends. It's a big field. And I mean, we tell this to candidates all the time too. Like, you're never going to be the expert on absolutely everything. So you can know a little bit about a lot of things and then where to go for more resources and for that in depth, where you can kind of specialize in an area, and both are good. So
that's good advice. All right.
Yeah, no advice really for me. Maybe just since I'm recovering here for being sick over the last few days, wash your hands a lot when you're in public, I guess.
Stop licking door handles, Oscar.
Don't lick door handles. See, I had the the vaccine. I was like, I can lick door handles. I can lick everything now. Not true. I was totally wrong. So
I've seen some door handles that look really, really appetizing too. Like
They tasty, right? I mean, they
I'm
just
like,
look so shiny
gosh,
and like, yeah,
it looks like a piece of candy. You sure I can't lick that one?
like the elevator buttons. They light up blue, and it's like, is that a cool new Mentos or is that an elevator? I don't know. I have to lick it and find out. And yeah, I got sick. So
John Harmon and I got in the elevator yesterday together, and somebody had pushed all the buttons. And I'm like, yeah, well, I guess it's a longer ride together. Let me give you a tour of the building. All right, shout outs. Megan, you got any shout outs for anybody?
Oh
Anybody you want
boy.
to call out as just saying you're awesome?
I'll just call out Sean, I think, Sean Pollard on our team, because he is just a rock star for VCSOs. And for guiding our associates, like kind of our new members on the team, to just giving them the direction, giving them things to do. Like, he does not hesitate to be like, here's how you do it, go do it, you're going to do great. And then the people that he coaches just excel at that, and he cares so deeply about each member of his team. Like, I enjoy sending people to work with him, and I know they're going to be in good hands. And then also just to hear from him, like the way that he strongly defends everyone, from his customers to his family to the people that he works with. So I'll give Sean a call out.
That's awesome. Yeah, Sean is another one of those ones that's asked me a number of uncomfortable questions over the years. I'm like, you hate when you get the questions, but then afterwards you're so grateful for them because nobody else is asking them. So, you need to do that. One of the things about Sean too that I think is really cool, I think he's former Air Force, isn't
he? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
One of my favorite CISOs of all time, and I'm not going to say his name this time, but big Fortune 500 company. He's an Air Force guy too. I think there's something to be said about the leadership our military teaches people, and I think Sean probably leverages a lot of that. That's cool. Oscar, shout out, my friend.
yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to my old man today. Father's Day weekend's coming up, so reminder for all of our listeners out there: Father's Day is this weekend. Make sure you spend a little time with your old man, or at least call him and talk to him on the phone. Tell him you love him, how much he means to you. I was planning to take my old man out fishing this weekend, but seeing if I get over this bug first, and hopefully we get to spend a good day together. And it means a lot to me. He's helped mold me into the man I am today. And without him, I wouldn't be here for sure. So shout out to my old man.
That's cool, man.
Awesome.
I'm just going to give a shout out to, the people that, some of these things resonated with, about the people that are actually taking chances, taking challenges, to solve problems, and they know, you probably know who you are. The people who aren't doing that, hopefully you'll find encouragement, but it's the people that take chances, the people that don't care what you think of me. I'm going to do what's right. And, and I might get beat up for it, but that's why I'm here. There's lots of those people out there, and I think I'm looking at 2 on the screen right now, and I appreciate that. So just shout out for those people for me. My dad's not with us anymore, so I mean, I'd have to. I don't know. Can you still talk to him or something? There's some kind of. I got crappy bandwidth. I'm not going to get there anyway. All right.
Hey,
thanks, guys.
The worst you can do is, you put it out there, and the message is either received or it's not, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, and the people that are around me are like, why is that guy always talking to himself? That's
He knows
normal.
something I don't.
There you go. All right. Well, that wraps up the episode. Thank you guys so much. Megan is so awesome. I look forward to, future episodes with you around and, sharing some more of your wisdom as you continue to get more of it. It's really cool.
Thanks for having me.